Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the regular meeting of council Monday, September 16th, 2019 to order. Before the approval agenda, I just wanted to recognize our CFO, Laura Sanders. This is our last council meeting tonight before her retirement, and I just wanted to express our gratitude for all the hard work you put in and really turn this place around. Thank you very much. So approval of the agenda, please. Recommendation. Councillor Norbury.
That the Monday, September 16th, 2019 regular council meeting agenda be approved as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Majinski. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes. September 3rd, 2019 regular council meeting minutes. Recommendation. Councillor Norbury.
That the Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019 regular council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Kopelka. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any business arising from the minutes? Council? Anything from staff? Okay. Moving on to delegations and petitions. 5.1. Dawson Junior Canucks. General Manager Colby Wagar and President Rob Huttema to make a presentation and to thank council for the hockey school that took place in Tumbl. Welcome, guys. Come on.
Well, thank you, council, for letting us speak here. Obviously, you guys know that we had our hockey school here weeks ago. I recognize a couple of faces from council that were down there, so very happy to see you guys as well. Wanted to come down and just personally thank council and staff for the welcome that we had received from our hockey school that we did down here. We felt like kings down here, welcomed with open arms, and we just can't believe the reception that we got down here. From all accounts that we've heard back from participants and parents and everything else, everybody was extremely happy with how things went and with how Tumbl really handled everything that was coming here. So the rest of the gab I'll leave to Colby to yak about. So
yeah, well, I'll be honest, I'll try to keep this as good as I can because the last council meeting I was at, I almost got thrown out. So I'll try to be professional, guys. We started talking about this with Jordan, Mr. Howell. We had some conversations, I think it was last year, the first time I talked to you guys about maybe bringing some exhibition games out here and getting the community back involved in what I think has changed my life drastically, becoming a member of this organization. Thanks for that, Rob. I think, I kind of fly off the seat of my pants. If anybody worked with me over this last couple of weeks, it was interesting. It was the first one that I've run myself with just Gene and I. Usually we had it hired out to somebody, and I don't think that'll ever happen again. My feet are still sore, but it was sure a lot of fun for those kids, and it was a lot of fun for us. Everything was just kind of thrown at, we talked about ideas, but you never really know until you actually get into it, how it's going to run, how everything worked. And, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, because that's how I speak, because that's who I am, thank you very much for everything the community did for us. I get tied into it, right? But never had a welcome like that in my life anywhere we've went. It just was amazing to be part of. So much support. Anything we needed, you guys were there for us. Refereeing, it didn't matter. You guys were there, and to give back to a community is what we're about. So hopefully we can move forward. We'd like to definitely talk about making sure that it is here next year. We've had an amazing amount of people that just can't believe what kind of I guess thing we put together, I guess, in some aspect, right? For me, it was just fantastic. I know Gene is extremely happy. The boys had a lot of fun. A lot of them, pardon me, have never seen a tree. I know that sounds funny, but some of those boys that come from the city, they've never been part of this and never got a chance to golf on a golf course like this, beautiful course like that, where you can play and have fun and nobody's on you about hurrying up, or nobody's, they just had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun at the pool. All the kids, the families just couldn't believe it. So from the bottom of our heart, guys, thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah,
So, and then, as you know, we have the game here, we have a regular league game here on the 28th. We do, part of our thank you to council, mayor, council, we printed up a couple dozen tickets for the game that we will comp you guys to say thank you very much. Use them how you wish and get the word out there, and hopefully we'll see you on the 28th here. So, again, thank you very much. The reception that we had and the help from the staff was just incredible.
Even Mr. Doonan, believe it or not, that guy's a beauty. Back in the trailer in, and there's this big smile, and oh, time to pull out. But is there anything that you guys want to throw at us? Maybe suggestions? Did you like what happened? Did you not like certain things? Anybody?
Yeah, I was just curious on moving forward next year. I know you had a limited amount of spots. Was it about 100 spots, I think? But on the age group there, is there any way of expanding that age group to include the older kids? Or did you just not have the participation with the older kids? Or
Well, typically we don't go over, like you're talking over the 14 age limit.
Yeah.
Typically we don't.
Okay.
Because most of the kids have moved on to their midget rep and stuff like that. And at that point, they're kind of out of it. So how we address that, geez, for the life of me, I can't remember that young fella's name that was here, but was sitting in stands. He hadn't played hockey in a year. He's like, oh, I wish I could have did this. So I said, well, hey, why don't you come and help? Come be a counselor.
Yes.
So maybe going forward, some of the boys and girls that are over age that aren't at that, why don't we get them involved and come be counselors and help us out, right? In some sense, it's them giving back and helping us at the same time, right? Because it's hard to get all the boys here in time to get things, and guys are working, so it was a bit of a struggle for me to make sure that I had enough guys to help out, but you know, that's what we're about. So if there's any kids that are over that age, that's not an issue. If they want to come help out and be part of it, we'll find something for them to be on ice, or maybe they're part of, they're a counselor or whatever. And I'd love to do that. I think that would work good.
great idea. Council? Councilor Howell?
Yeah, so that kid's name was Hazen Finley.
Thank you.
That's the name of the kid that helped you out there. And I
Great kid.
spent quite a bit of time down at the rink. My daughter was in the camp there, and we've been to a lot of them. And I think you guys did an excellent job here. Like a really, really good job. I mean, for your first time putting it on. And thanks for taking the chance on us. I know this was a big stretch for you guys to say, man, is this going to work in Tumbl Ridge? Like, is anybody going to come? And by all accounts, like, it's one of those things that just went off with, really without a hitch, and that I heard of, and just nothing but positive comments every which where I looked. Another thing that came out of it I thought was really cool is we've got some kids from Tumbl that went and tried out for the Pee Wee rep team out in Dawson. And when you guys were going on the ice with your, for tryouts, with your junior players, the kids recognized the players and the players recognized the kids, and they took time before they went on the ice to play junior to actually come over, and my daughter was one of them, come over and fist bump them and say hi to them, and then our kids come back and they watch your guys' tryouts for another 20 minutes. It's that community collaboration, and it's just fantastic. I really enjoyed the camp, and thank you guys for coming out and putting it on, and really look forward to it next year.
Yeah, us too, guys. I thought it was a great partnership. I really did. Jordan, thank you very much for all your help. I appreciate it. I know emails were spotty sometimes, but still pushing trucks, so it was. No, I personally thought it went fantastic. I guess on the 28th, when we come out here, something I wanted to approach you guys with. So the viewpoint that's up here, what we were thinking was we'd like to come out earlier in the day, like say if we're there at noon. Is there anybody, like what we're kind of hoping is that some council members, mayor, if you guys would like to join us, we'd like to take off up there. Gino knows where he's going. Me, I get lost in a parking lot, but I got Gene, so I should be okay. But we'd like to take the boys up there, do a little bit of a hike and do a big picture. If anybody would like to join us, that would be awesome. And then we were kind of hoping that maybe we could go to the golf course and have a dinner there prior to the game, and have you guys come for dinner with us. And then at the game, I'd like to do like a kind of a player meet and greet. We'll set up a table and kids can come a little early and meet them. We'll have the boys at the rink. So we don't play till 8. So as long as we have them there around 6, then they can sit in them. Because I know the kids will recognize them because they, like you said, they recognize them at the rink. And I just think something like that just to cap off everything we did. And I know it's not much of a thank you, but it's what we can do. And I just think it would be awesome if you guys still want to kind of be part of that,
Absolutely.
would
Yeah.
be wicked.
Absolutely. Just stay in contact with Jordan there and we'll
Okay.
definitely set something up. Yes, that night. Yeah. Or that day.
You should be back in town around 1 to 2.
Yeah, from Vancouver.
So I'll figure it out with you.
Sweet. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I know. On behalf of all Mayor and Council, we really appreciate you guys coming, and we, this community really embraces the hockey culture, and we used to have a junior team here, and it was very well supported, and I think a lot of the community is missing that aspect of it too. So we're really looking forward to September 28th as well.
Well, that's what I mentioned to Jordan too. I mean, getting into next year, this year was a little different because the league did our schedule. I know we have to be careful as to how many and how far games we go, but that's something that we look at next year. Maybe we can get more. We'll see what this game. I'm sure this game on the 28th is going to be packed. So, maybe that's something that we look forward to in the future. Maybe we can play an X amount of games out here. If I can get past the league, in some sense, we do still have to be fairly careful just because of where our main support comes from. And please don't take that, the way that sounds, but we got to make sure that we're at home, don't get thrown out. If we get thrown out, we know where we're going. I got a crooked nose in this ring. I'm sure somebody else knows. So, so thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Council, anything else?
Councilor Rubin.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just wondering if there's anything that the town or the district could have done better that maybe you want to mention to Jordan, just in case it ever happens again. I mean, I know there's always things that could be done better by both sides, so I'm just wondering if there's things that maybe we missed or that could be done better next time.
I mean, if you guys want to put hot tubs in the sites, I'm okay with that. But no, I don't have anything that comes to my mind. I mean, I think it ran very, very smooth. I was nervous. I was really nervous when we first come out. And then the one thing that I think we have to really watch, and Jordan pushed me on it, was making sure we get it out in time. And I mean, we had it out here, about 2 months before it actually started. And pardon me, we cap at 90, and I bet you we had 35 phone calls in 2 days prior up to, I didn't get my kids in. And for the most part, it was a lot of people from out here. And we felt bad because I wanted them to be in there, but we just didn't have the room with that limited ice that we have, right? We just didn't have the room and couldn't make the groups any bigger because it was too much. We wouldn't have gotten any, I mean, for myself, I mean, taking the one-on-one time, that's why we had so many boys, because you actually get a chance to take one-on-one time with kids and teach things that, fall through the cracks as they're coming up, what I think. And so we could get it out a little earlier, but enforce that you have to get in. And we didn't know, honestly, we did, I was like, well, if we get 40, we get 40 people, we're laughing, right? If we don't,
Yeah, absolutely.
but it just blew right up the last week. And then once we put it online, which was new for us, we've never done that before, it was mail it in, and then somebody phoned and said, who has checks? I was like, I don't know, I don't even know what a check is. Rob, what's a check? So I think it'll go smoother next year. It's online, we can get it out earlier. As long as we can figure out what we're gonna do here, I don't see any problem.
And now we see the buy-in too, you offered the transportation from Dawson as well, and there wasn't a lot of buy-in on that. So now we see the potential of that amount of people wanting to come here for the week as well. So, no, it's excellent. Councilor Norbury.
Firstly, thanks, guys. I mean, I'm very glad to hear that you were very impressed and happy with how you're treated. And I think that came reflected from everyone and how much we wanted to see this succeed. And I'm glad to hear that it did. But in regards to the sign up a few days before, as somebody who puts on events and programs, it's a challenging thing, and it's not anyone's fault. But now moving forward next year, hopefully the people recognize, we've got to sign up and get there early because this is an in-demand thing and it's this exciting thing that we've done.
Well, we even had people that have been in our hockey camp for 3 years that I went to school at. The phone said, "Can I get in?" Well, I don't have anywhere to put you. So it wasn't just here, but the majority of it was from campus. I don't think a lot of people thought that it would just be full, and there was a few of us that weren't sure either, and it just
It's true.
full. And we took 8 extra kids as it was.
Right. So what's the barriers to expanding the capacity there?
You want to build another rink? Because if you do, I'll make it bigger. But it's basically just on size,
Yeah.
you know, and the group size, right? If you have too much, you don't get the chance to give that one-on-one.
Absolutely.
So I think we were right borderline. You might be able to put it up to 100, because really at that point, 3 extra in each group isn't going to kill you. But I don't think I'd want to go over that, because you wouldn't have enough time.
Yeah, and it's important to get that one-on-one as well.
And we could prolong the day and maybe go till 6, but it takes away from Tumbler,
Everything.
right? It takes away from all the other extra stuff that people can do here. So that's why.
You know, it was the beauty of ending at 4 o'clock. It gave everybody else a chance to roam around in town. I've never really spent a whole lot of time. I've been in Dawson for 10 years, and I think I've been down here twice. You know what? I'm coming back. Sorry. Yeah, no, it gave us a good chance to roam around and really check out Tumbler and what Tumbler as a whole had to offer.
Absolutely.
A lot of people had that same thing. Did you see an influx in, like, as far as the grocery stores and stuff like that? Did it make a difference?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Councillor Howell?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the only thing that I seen down there that we could have improved on would be have another dressing room available, because I think there was one group that didn't. The coaches all needed a dressing room, and that's easily dealt with if we would have went to the curling rink. We could use the back end of the curling rink and just put some rubber mats out so that they could get in and out, and they could have that last, because we have a female dressing room now, right? So we didn't have quite enough for all the groups. So that was the only thing I could have seen in there that would have helped us a little bit.
So, and in reflection of that, Gary and I were kind of talking of how to expand that and how to make more room for the kids. And we've got some pretty good ideas of what we can do for possibly next year. Opening up that front end where all the rubber matting is throwing up some curtains, and and that was one of the struggles that we had, was dressing room size. Yeah, I had to raise my voice a couple of times in order for the kids to clean up their stuff so they could find all their stuff back. That was probably the most challenging part of that whole weekend, was to make sure that the kids got all their equipment back in their own bags.
We still have stuff in our dressing room. We don't even know whose it is. The other thing, like, I think getting ahead of this and deciding if we're gonna do this, like, we would love to come back here if you guys would have us. So that's a no-brainer. So we'll leave the rest up to you guys, and maybe within a month or so, if you guys want to table it, talk about it. If you want us to come back, we'd love to come back. Let's try not to book a wedding in the curling rink. Because as soon as I walked in and seen all those low balls and streamers, I was like, oh boy, here we go. I could just see him getting smacked all over, right? But that poor girl was having a heart attack. I said, I promise, like, in my power, the boys aren't smacking those things around. But she was having a little bit of a heart attack. We tried to get out of there, but we talked about that back part where we had the trailer park. I mean, that's fine. And then if I would have phoned Mr. Howell, we probably could have used the old timers room, and for the coaches, it's just hard because all the boys are in there, and it's just, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. No, we'll definitely continue the conversation for sure. I thought it was an excellent event. It brought a lot to the community, and we were really happy to have you for sure. So, anything else, council? Okay. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, guys.
Good. I have a couple dozen tickets for you.
Oh,
Give them to the boss, and he can dish them out as he wishes.
thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much. We appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
You guys did,
Thank you for
done as
coming
well,
in.
so
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in. Hopefully we'll see you next year
All you
too.
guys will.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in here.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for coming in, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, ladies. See ya.
Thanks, ladies. Even made me take my hat off. See you guys, thanks.
See you guys.
All right,
Top three.
moving on to consent agenda. Recommendation, please. Councillor Lehman.
That all items in the September 16th, 2019 consent agenda be received for information.
Seconder. Councillor Kalka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any items anyone would like to discuss? Councillor Norbury.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up 6.3, the Health and Geoparks funding request.
For discussion.
Yes.
Seconder, Councilor Majinski. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councilor Norbert.
So I'd like to start out with a motion so we can sort of debate something.
Please.
So I'd like to make a motion to grant $10,000 in unbudgeted funds for the Health and Geoparks project.
Seconder, Councilor Lehman. Any comments? Yeah, I'll comment. I think it's a very good initiative. Once again, Dr. Helm is spearheading this, and I think it's a really trailblazing project for our geopark to present to the global stage of geoparks. So I am definitely in support of this. Councilor Helm.
Can I get some explanation on the email from Mr. Wall earlier today about the funding request would come through us to the geopark and then to Dr. Helm? Is there any reason why the money can't just come directly from the district of Tumbl Ridge?
Yeah, as far as I understand, the grant request will be given to the geoparks to be distributed for the Health and Geoparks project. Mr. Wall, can you elaborate on that anymore?
Yeah, it's just so that we have the money going to a registered nonprofit, so it's going to be running through a agency that is audited rather than giving the funds to an individual.
Correct. Any other question or comment? Kate called a question on the motion, sorry. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Any other items in the consent agenda? Councilor Howe?
6.1.
For discussion?
Yep.
Seconder? Councilor Majinski? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Councilor Howe?
I just want to know what council's desire is on this item. Are we going to vote in favor of this resolution at UBCM?
I certainly will be. I think a more accurate population count all over the province is well outdated. Yeah, I certainly will. Councilor Howe?
And like, part of this reasoning, in my mind, that they've done this to issue more cow-calf limited entry hunts, I believe this is the government's attempt to reduce the number of moose in our area to help caribou. They discussed this in the meetings they came to Tumbl Ridge with, and the First Nations were not in favor of them doing this. A lot of people in attendance were not in favor of doing this. I am not in favor of them doing this, and I think it's something that should be brought up, that this again is the government just basically coming in and saying they're arbitrarily going to do something because that's the way they want to do it, and it was not supported by anyone besides the government biologist. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's totally wrong that we be doing that, and I hope that anyone who attends the UBCM is going to vote in favor of this with the Village of Burns Lake.
I agree. Any other comment or discussion? Okay. And anything else on the consent agenda? Okay, moving on to bylaws, 7.1. Bylaw number 681, 2019, permissive tax exemption bylaw. Recommendation, please. Councilor Kirby.
The council adopts District of Tumbl Ridge Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw number 681, 2019.
Seconder, Councilor Norbert. Open for discussion. Called a question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 7.2, final adoption of zoning amendment bylaw number 679, 2019. Report from the Director of Protective Services dated September 16, 2019, seeking final adoption of zoning amendment bylaw number 679, 2019. Recommendation, please, Councilor Norbert.
That the District of Tumbl Ridge adopts the zoning amendment bylaw number 679, 2019.
Seconder, Councilor Lehman. Open for discussion. question? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. New business, 8.1, short-term rentals in Tumbl Ridge. Report dated September 16th, 2019 from the Director of Economic Development and Tourism titled Short-Term Rentals in Tumbl Ridge, requesting Council's consideration to allow short-term rentals as a permitted business activity in the residential zones of Tumbl Ridge. Recommendation, please. Councilor Colby.
The council directs administration to proceed with the process of amending zoning bylaw number 585, 2012, business license bylaw 644, 2017, and the fees and charges bylaw number 623, 2017 to allow short-term rentals as a permitted business activity in R1, R2, R3, R4, RM1, RM2, and MHP zoned areas of Tumbl Ridge.
Well done.
Ah.
Well done. Second. Councilor Lehman, open for discussion. I'll start off. I think this is an important amendment. It is kind of coming in line with the times. I think this short-term rental business is very beneficial for tourist activity in smaller towns, and but I would like to see some guidelines and maybe a cap on it. I think it would, in my opinion, I think it could possibly get to a point of competing with our local hotels as well. So I would like to see a cap in the proposed amendment. Councillor Norbury.
So I'm in support of the recommendation, mostly because our Tourism Advisory Committee recommended it, and I think it's an important step moving forward and making sure that we're open for business. And this is a new expanding area for business. I am concerned about the impact it will have on our other accommodation businesses.
Well, from what I understand in the report, I believe we have 3 operating at the moment. So, I mean, at this level right now, I don't think it's directly affecting our local hotels, but I certainly can see if the trend continues and then we get more and more, it could definitely get to a point where it is. Any other comment or discussion? Councillor Howe?
Yeah, I'm
Against this recommendation. I think this, again, is us catering to tourism and not catering to our residents.
I think there's enough hotels and accommodations in Tumbl Ridge. I don't understand why we need to have more short-term rentals in residential neighborhoods. I have a rental property next door to my house that trucks are in and out. There's coal mine dust all over the roads. There's overweight vehicles parked in front of it. There's garbage out on days that aren't garbage day. There is stuff all over the place up there that is not in line with the residents and what we need in our community. And I don't think that people blowing in one weekend and staying in a house next door to mine and then blowing out the next weekend and somebody else coming in is what we need in Tumbl Ridge. I think we should be catering to our residents. I don't think our residents want this in and around their homes. I certainly don't. And I don't understand why we would make it harder for our hotels to get to full occupancy by allowing this to happen. Tumbl Ridge, in a report that was given to us by Mr. Wall last week in an email, is the most affordable homes in Canada. So for those that are trying to supplement their income or rent their homes out, they don't have a good leg to stand on as far as I'm concerned. I'm totally against this. I think I read something somewhere that one of our hotels, maybe 2, are short on their taxes this year. They haven't come up with the money for their taxes yet. So we're going to make it harder for them to get taxes, collect their taxes or pay their taxes to the district. And what's going to end up happening? We're going to end up owning a hotel. And then what are we going to do? Say no to B&Bs at that point? Or bed and breakfast is a different thing altogether that can be put in, not this Airbnb.
But to me, I think this is the wrong way for us to go. I don't think we need to amend or change anything. I think we've got plenty of...
Different story if we're in Kelowna or Penticton or these other places that rent out are totally full of hotels and you can't find a place in the summertime. We are not that. Tumbl Ridge is not that. We don't need this in Tumbl Ridge.
Okay. Any other Councillor Kirkowski.
Yeah, so I'll just hit on that. Councilor Hunt mentioned a bit, and that was regards to the hotel. So one of the hotel operators actually sits in the committee, and she made that opinion too. She was concerned about fill rates for the hotel she's operates. I've talked to one other hotel this afternoon since I was away for the weekend, and they have a concern with it as well. Like they're not even at 20%, and then up Airbnbs, whether it's 10 or 12 or 9 or 8, it takes away from people that are paying the property tax for a big impact as well. So I won't be supporting the recommendation to change it.
Yeah, this is the recommendation is to start the process of the amendment too. So those amendments would come back to us for approval as well. So there is a lot of area to regulate this type of short-term rental and monitor as well. Councillor Norbert.
So I'd like to hit on a couple of points in regards to renting, and I think it's pretty common practice for people in Tumbl Ridge to rent out their rooms to coming, itinerant workers or what have you. So I mean, I see a parallel between the Airbnb as well as this, and we're not putting regulations on that. So my concern is, if we're preventing this business, are we going to are we showing that we're against anything like that? And that's absolutely for our residents, because our residents use this as income to support themselves. And when it comes down to, Councillor Howell made a point about the housing prices in town. Well, this is an opportunity for people to try before you buy. Come in, check out a house. It's the cheapest place to own. Well, not the cheapest, but one of the cheapest in British Columbia. So try before you buy. Come in and check out an Airbnb.
Yeah, it's interesting perspective. Sure. Any other comment? Okay, call the question on the recommendation. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 8.2 speed reduction options. Report dated September 16th, 2019 from the Director of Operations and Infrastructure regarding speeding vehicles in residential areas. Recommendation, please. Councillor Kirkowski.
Council receives a support for information.
Second. Councillor Majinski. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 8.3 Club 55 North lease extension request. Report dated September 16th, 2019 from the Recreation Services Manager titled Club 55 North extension request, requesting council's consideration to extend Club 55 North golf course restaurant lease. Recommendation, please. Councillor Majinski.
The council receives this report for information.
Second. Councillor Kalka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 8.4 daycare facilities. A report from the Director of Community Services and Facilities dated September 16th, 2019 to provide recommendations for council to consider for daycare preschool space in Tumbl Ridge. Recommendation, please. Councillor Norbury.
That council approves concept option A outlined in the financial analysis executive summary to develop scope of work for a standalone daycare preschool facility on district property located on the green space behind the aquatic center, and that council supports an application to be submitted to the BC government's Ministry of Children and Family Development for the Child Care BC New Spaces Fund.
Seconded. Councillor Kirkowski. Open for discussion. Councillor Norbury.
So I'm in support of the motion that's presented here, because I believe that, there's a lot I want to get out, but I want to try and keep it short because, So I think having a purpose-built facility really shows this council's initiative and on taking the importance of childcare seriously in Tumbl Ridge. I know that we talk about healthcare as our number one priority in town to help keep our residents here, but I think we should also have in that same discussion our childcare options available for our community, in that with adequate proper childcare, not only does it allow for the proper development of Tumbl Ridge's children, but it also allows for parents to go back to work. A good example, I know a resident who is a qualified lab tech and x-ray tech, but as it stands, they are a stay-at-home parent, which is absolutely fine, that's their choice, but I'd be really interested to see if how many qualified professionals we are also, we could potentially get into our ranks in Tumbl Ridge. And I know my concern, speaking with highly skilled professionals coming into town, there's a real concern for childcare in Tumbl Ridge, and this would give us the opportunity in the capable hands of the Children's Center Society. I mumbled a little bit there. The Tumbl Ridge Children's Care Society. It gives them the opportunity to potentially grow and allow for more options for people. And I think it's also really important to highlight what the history behind the TRCCS, in that this used to be run by the district. 25 years ago, we had to offer childcare. Now, this society came and took that responsibility on, and in the ups and downs of Tumbl Ridge, they've managed to save and prepare for eventual downturns. And they've stayed open when it was at a loss. So thank you to the Children's Society for staying open. So that being said, I'm going to springboard for a moment, so I apologize. We're just talking about the potential plans and how we should develop this scope. But I think it's important to recognize that daycares, they're not a huge money-making operation. So I think I would like to see moving forward that we ourselves take this building on and take on the on all the costs associated with it, so we can ensure that we have a child care center for the next 25 years. But that's something moving into the future.
Okay, Councillor Kalka.
Yeah, just a couple things. Well, one, I definitely support the motion, but this was something that previous councils worked on, and including the daycare and staff, back when the mines were talking about coming back alive, and that was when Quintet Coal was also going to come on board, and there was a big panic for child spaces. And I know the daycare is sitting there, and I believe there's lots of meetings going on and trying to figure out how to build it and everything else. But residents ask, I'm going to go off a little sidetrack here, but residents always ask, like, why do you go to UBCM? Why do you go to the FCM? And I never went until last year, and I was there with Councillor Kirby, and I'm going to pat her on the back and just say that we were in the right spot at the right time when we met a lady there. And this is what she does, and her last name was Kirby as well. So not related, but it's quite intriguing when you meet those people at that right spot, and they started talking about funds available and how people weren't applying for it. And then this year we were all in Williams Lake, and you were there yourself. And same thing, there's a lady that's one of the ones we definitely made sure we went to, and she was saying how the northern communities weren't going for it. So I'm glad to see that it's on the floor now, and it'll hopefully pass in the vote. But it's good to see that it came back from council that was last year and then again this year.
Absolutely.
And then staff working forward with it. And then Raylene, I was actually in Williams Lake when I was texting her in Messenger trying to find out if they still had the plans and the amount, just to kind of see if the ladies' numbers were in the ballpark, and they were. So I thank Raylene for answering me that night when I was Messenger. So definitely support it.
Councillor Howell.
So what's the plan for the money for this building? Are we talking at this meeting here that we're going to pay for this building, or we're going to try to get this money all from the government to pay for the building?
Correct.
So what is our stance if the government comes back and doesn't give us any money for the building? Are we still going to go forward with the building?
That would definitely have to be another discussion, I would say. This is moving forward with the opportunity that the ministry has given for new childcare spaces. So and they're really promoting it. This is a really big push by the provincial government to create new childcare spaces. So that's why this concept has come to light, because of this opportunity that we have. Councillor Howell.
So to me, there's not really a pile of discussion to be had here if we're looking at somebody's going to buy us a building and put it all in place and everything is going to look fantastic. It comes really down to maintenance, heating, power, that type of stuff for the facility. And that should be on the operator to do the majority of that. External maintenance may be on us because it's our building, or along those lines. I think this will really come to task is when the government says to us, yeah, we're going to fund 25%, 50%, 75%, something along those lines. And we get an idea or an estimate of costs. Not having any idea or any estimate of cost in my mind at this point is a little, okay, sure, someone's going to build us a building, that's fantastic. But there were other things that we looked at earlier this year that we decided against as a council that had costs associated to them that would have expanded daycare. So in my mind, when this conversation comes up in the future, that's what has to be considered. If we're getting it for free, fantastic, let's get it.
Councillor Norbert?
Yeah, I echo Councillor Howell's concerns if it comes down to if the residents of Tumbl Ridge want to pay for this facility, but thankfully maybe I'm a little optimistic, but in the multiple pieces of correspondence we received that said they would fund for up to 100% of the cost. I gotta trust in what these people are telling us, and that 100% is 100%. So let's with that, let's just hope for the best, and if it changes, well, then we have to have another discussion.
Yes. No, I think it's an opportunity we can't pass up here. Sure. Councillor Lehman?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think option A is probably, I would think, the best option. I think if we're going to go for funding, it's more likely that they're going to be in favor of something standalone instead of tacking it onto another building. So I think it's just a good option to go with. I think at least we should have an idea of what we want to build before we go and ask for money for these grants.
Absolutely. And I like the idea of a purpose-built facility too. I don't think the Child Care Society has had that type of luxury up until now, for sure. So I like that idea, and I like the fact in the report too that the aspect of the disbursement. If there was an extension built onto the community center, there won't be any disruption by building a separate building as well. Councilor Jensen.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. We're very fortunate we have the land available to build it on as well, so close to where it originally was. The only question I have is, what's our current square footage of our facility we have? They say it meets the needs now, but they're in here says need 4 rooms to fill the needs of the growing community. So does that mean we're getting an extra room, or is it another 1,000 square footage? And how many can we cater to if we have a 4,222 square foot facility? Like, what's our maximum capacity? That's my only question.
Mr. Wall, I believe it's in the report, the square footage is there, but can you answer any of those questions?
The rest of the questions are just gonna have to be in discussions with the child care center of, what type of rooms do they need, what type of age groups they're going at. It's hard to go on capacity just because they may target a different age group. The younger you go, the less people you can put in a room, stuff like that. So if we go ahead with option A, then I think that's the point where we need to have some serious sit downs and some looking at, 1, the requirements from code and regulations around childcare, and then 2, the needs of the child care center, and then 3, the budget constraints. Try and bring this building in just at that $3 million range where everything's done, signed, sealed, delivered. If you could get this for 300,000 or $3 million on the dot, that's where you want to aim for, right? So you try and balance all those different needs out, and hopefully we do a good solution.
I agree. Councilor Norbert.
So I don't want to speak for the children's center, but I'll try and do my best to advocate for the children's center, and that the existing daycare is about 2,700 square feet versus like this expanded, the standalone building about 4,000. But the existing area, it wasn't really purpose built. It was kind of thrown in there, and you could really make a lot of room, and you can get exactly what you need in terms of space just by having a purpose built facility. So it was this. I think this proposed plan was based off of that proposed idea by I believe it was Tech, but it was one of the coal companies. And they did a lot of research into it. So we would be good to lean on the work that's already been done, as well as working with the Children's Center, just to make sure that everything's up to code to allow for what they expect their class sizes need to be.
Sure. Councilor Kalka.
Yeah, just a little comment, I guess, from what Mr. Wald said. But I remember Michelle Kirby when we were there, like, they are saying a $3 million thing, but I hope we contact her as well when we start going through this. I know it must go somewhere else, but there was comments made from her where some were 3.2 or 3.4, 3.5 is the highest that they covered all of it. So I think we need just to make sure we're in touch with her so she understands it's coming from this community on behalf of her talking to previous councils, and then new councillors that made a meeting, but, you know, she said there was some give and take room there, and I just wanna make sure staff is aware of that.
Any other comment? Councillor Howell?
The only other thing I'd say about the area that's selected here, I mean, it's probably the best area is the parking constraints down in that area. It is a little tight to get into when you're coming in and out of the curling arena or the hockey rink down in there. You know, hopefully they take that into account as well, but that's something just to think about, and fire lane access and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I think maybe an expansion to that pool area parking lot could be an option for sure. It is pretty tight in that area just for the pool traffic, so yeah, I agree. Any other comments? Okay, call the question on the recommendation. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, 8.5, PRD planning function. A report from the Chief Administrative Officer dated September 16th, 2019, to provide council a report regarding Section 381, Part 14 of the Local Government Act. Recommendation, please. Councilor Lena.
The council received this report for information.
Seconder, Councilor Kukalka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 8.6, Sakunka Place surface water. Report from the Director of Operations and Infrastructure dated September 16th, 2019, regarding Sakunka Place surface water and potential imposition of a remedial action requirement. Recommendation, please, Councilor Notary.
The council directs staff to prepare a report regarding the potential imposition of a remedial action requirement.
Seconder, Councilor Kirby. Open for discussion. Councilor Kukalka.
So, I mean, my bad, I didn't get in to see Mr. Wall today, I was away and then didn't get in early enough. I know I read through it and it says how they weren't able to do the work, there was some talk about in previous meeting and in the report. Unable to do it themselves or unable to pay for the work? Is there any clarification there?
Mr. Wall.
I'll leave it at just unwilling.
Unwilling? Good enough, thank you.
Councilor Notary.
So I'm in support of the motion, as I think I'm interested to see how staff are going to, this isn't, particularly my wheelhouse in terms of how to remediate the situation. But I think at this point in time, the resident seemed open and willing to come up with a solution. I understand that it's a bad hand to be dealt, that you bought a house that had these water issues, but at the end of the day, it's also their responsibility, and it's not just affecting one person, it affects that whole area. And I know Councillor Kukalka has made points as how it affects the emergency personnel in that area as well. And other residents of that area need to have a solution. So I think at this point, we just need to come up with a solution, and
Try to remediate the problem. Yeah.
mediate. Thank you.
Any other comment? Councilor Howell.
So this isn't the only instance in Tumbl Ridge where we have water like this that leaks onto the roadway. It's the worst, for sure. Other places, the residents have dealt with it their own way. Don't know if it's right, don't know if it's wrong, don't know if it lasts. The part that I like about this is that it's dealt with by the district the way we feel fit through engineers. We've paid a lot of money already for engineers to look at the ideas in the areas. And I think that's important, that you can't just willy-nilly this thing. And that's why I'd like to see the report come out of it. So yeah, it's important that we do it our way.
I agree. Any other comment? Okay, call the question on the recommendation. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Holy moly, this is the fastest meeting I've ever been in.
I got some business.
Okay, 8.7. Yeah, that's right. Schedule of meetings. Everyone have a chance to look at that? Councilor Norbury. I guess did our let's talk date, is that sticking at the moment? October 16th so far? Okay. Any other issues with the schedule of meetings? right, notice of motions, any notice of motions? Okay. Councilor's business, thank you, Councilor Majinski, for your library meeting report. Any other councilor business? Councilor Howe?
This is not really councilor's business. I just want to ask a question. Is it possible to bring anything on this agenda back for discussion?
That's a good question. Councilor, sorry, Mr. Wall. I believe after the motion of information is done, is that correct?
You could bring it back under reconsideration. So in order to move it for reconsideration, somebody who is on the winning side of the vote would need to move it for reconsideration. It would be voted on whether or not you wanted to reconsider it, and then the topic would be open again.
Someone from the affirmative side has to make that motion.
Somebody from the winning side. So it could be if the negative side wins, it has to be somebody from the winning side, not necessarily the affirmative.
Okay, Councilor Calkin.
Just curious, Councillor Howe is commenting, but everybody's looking to talk about.
Councilor Howe.
Guys, I think we've glanced over 2 opportunities here to make money for the district of Tumbl Ridge, and we just moved it for information. I think the lease extension is one thing we just briefed over and moved it for information. It's an opportunity for a business in town to make more money and for us to get more money back out of the golf course and not have to pay for it for 2 months, the utilities on it. And we just glanced over it and said, yeah, for information. I think that's a mistake. And the PRRD planning function is something that's pretty important to our community. And again, we just moved forward for information. Didn't give our staff any information on what we want to do with it, so they're dead in the water. I think that's a mistake. I don't understand why we just glanced over them, but 6 of you has done it, so.
We can certainly talk about the PRRD in discussion after the meeting for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Does anyone want to make a motion? Okay. Any other councilor's business? Just wanted to mention, I took part in museum tour this morning, all day today with TRMF, as well as a delegation from the city of Fort St. John, mayor and deputy mayor. It was an excellent tour. Thank you very much to the TRMF and the Geopark for putting that on. It was really neat to see the new exciting stuff, and the backstage pass to the museum was excellent as well. Any other updates, councilor business? Okay. Question and answer period. Any questions from the gallery in regards to this agenda? No? Okay. Press, Trent, we're good. Councilor Kirkcalkin.
Make a recommendation for adjournment of the Monday, September 16, 2019 regular council meeting be adjourned.
Seconder, Councilor Majinski. All in favor? Opposed?